The world of Bluey seems like a dream, but it is actually a look into how families handle real trauma. You probably think Muffin is just a brat or that Indy is just picky, but there is a much deeper reason for their behavior. There is a tragic theory that connects every single episode back to a moment of loss that changed Chili forever. It is not that simple though, because the more you watch, the more you realize the show is teaching us about pain. We are diving into the facts that prove this show is the most complex thing on television right now. Everything changes when you look at the episode titled The Show because it holds the key to the entire Healer family history. In this specific story, Bluey and Bingo decide to put on a play for their parents to celebrate Mother's Day. Bingo plays the role of her mother, Chili, and she puts a balloon under her shirt to pretend she is pregnant with Bluey. It is a funny moment at first, and everyone is laughing until the balloon suddenly pops. The room goes quiet for a split second, and the looks on the faces of the parents is something that you would never expect in a kids show. Bandit immediately reaches out and grabs Chili's hands to comfort her while she looks like she is about to cry. What most people do not realize is that this is a direct reference to a miscarriage that happened before Bluey was born. The pop of the balloon represents the moment that pregnancy ended, and the silence that follows is the heavy weight of that memory. For years, fans debated this online, but it was eventually confirmed that this was the intended meaning. This means that Bluey is actually a rainbow baby, which is a term used for a child born after a loss. It explains why Bandit and Chili are so patient and why they spend every single second playing with their kids. They know exactly how precious life is because they almost did not have it. The crazy part is how this shifts the tone of every other episode in the series. When you see Chili sitting alone on the beach or looking at the stars, she's not just relaxing. She's likely thinking about the child she never got to hold and how lucky she is to have the two girls she has now. This makes the show feel so much more grounded in reality, because it shows that even the perfect cartoon family has scars. It's not just fluff for toddlers, but a deep exploration of how parents carry their past with them. People are obsessed with how good Bandit is at being a dad, but now we know he is trying to make up for a time when he could not be a dad at all. This loss shaped how the entire house runs and how they treat every small moment like it is a treasure. You can see it in the way they never say no to a game of hide and seek or a pretend trip to the hospital. They are terrified of losing what they have, so they hold on as tight as they possibly can. This level of detail is why adults love the show just as much as kids do, even if the kids do not understand the sadness behind the balloon. It is a beautiful but tragic way to show that life is fragile and that every family has a story that they do not always talk about out loud. The Healer family hides more than just a past loss, because the children have their own secrets. There is another theory that is taking over the internet, and it focuses on Bluey's cousins named Muffin and Socks. Everyone knows that Muffin is one of the most chaotic characters in the show, and she often has huge meltdowns over small things. While most people think she is just a spoiled toddler, some experts and fans believe she shows signs of being neurodivergent. She has a very hard time following rules, and she gets overwhelmed by loud noises or changes in her routine very quickly. It's not that simple though, because her sister Socks is even more interesting to look at in the early seasons. In the first season, Socks behaves exactly like a real dog instead of a person dog like the rest of the cast. She walks on all fours, she barks instead of talking, and she even bites people when she gets upset or excited. Many fans believe this is a representation of a child with high support needs or someone who is on the autism spectrum. As the show goes on, Socks starts to walk on two legs and talk more, which could represent the progress made through therapy and growth. The creators of the show have always been very careful to include different types of people, and this could be their way of showing neurodiversity. The way the family reacts to Muffin and Socks is also a huge clue, because they're always very patient and understanding. They do not just yell at Muffin for being loud, but they try to find ways to help her calm down and understand her feelings. This reflects how modern families handle these situations with grace and education instead of punishment. It is a huge deal for a show to represent these types of behaviors without making them the main focus of the plot. It just exists as a part of their world, which makes it feels very inclusive and honest for families who live with these things every day. Looking at these two sisters together, you can see a wide range of behaviors that reflect how different every child can be. Muffin represents the high energy and sensory seeking side of things, while Socks shows the nonverbal and developmental side. It is a powerful message to send to kids that it is okay to be different and it is okay to move at your own pace. Even if the show never says the word autism out loud, the signs are there for anyone who knows what to look for. This adds a layer of reality to the show that makes the creators feel like real people with real struggles. Beyond the way they act, the show also hints at some very intense control over what the kids eat. One of the most talked about side characters is Indy and her mother, because they have a very different way of living. In several episodes, we see that Indy has an extremely restrictive diet that prevents her from enjoying things that the other kids can eat. She cannot have gluten or dairy or sugar, and she even mentions that she cannot have certain foods because of the chemicals. This has led many viewers to believe that her mother is what the internet calls an almond mom. This is a term for a parent who is obsessed with healthy eating to a point where it becomes a bit too much for the child. You can see the sadness on Indy's face when she realizes she cannot share a snack with Bluey or Bingo at the playground. It is a small detail, but it shows the pressure that some kids feel to be perfect in the eyes of their parent. The theory suggests that Indy's mom is using these rules to control every part of her daughter's life under the guise of being healthy. While it is good to eat well, the show seems to be hinting that being too strict can make a child feel left out or different in a bad way. It is a very subtle commentary on how modern parenting trends can sometimes hurt more than they help. And get this. The show even features an episode where Indy has to find something she can actually eat at a market. It takes forever, and she looks very tired of the whole process while her friends are having fun with their treats. This makes people wonder if the mom is projecting her own fears about health onto her child in a way that is not sustainable. The show does not judge the mom directly, but it shows the reality of how it affects Indy. It is another example of how the writers include complex social issues without making them feel like a lecture. This focus on health and purity is a big part of the world outside the Healer House, and it adds to the mystery. It makes us wonder what other rules are being forced on these kids that we do not see on the screen. The dogs in this world are trying so hard to be civilized that they sometimes forget that they are actually animals with natural needs. This leads into a much bigger conversation about the history of these specific breeds and why they are in the show at all. The control over Indy's diet might just be the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how these dogs are managed. The thing is, all of this happens right under our noses while we are focused on the funny jokes and bright colors. Are we missing a key detail that explains why the world is only populated by dogs and where all the humans went? It is a controversial thought, but it might be the next big mystery to solve as the show continues to grow. What do you think about these dark theories, and do they change how you feel about the Healer family? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and tell us if you have found any secrets we missed. Make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite shows, because the truth is always more interesting than the fiction.